Hello and a warm welcome to the Street Soccer United podcast. It's Keith Mabbott here, the founder and CEO of the Street Soccer Foundation. I say warm welcome. It is blisteringly hot today. I hope all of you are keeping well. I'm delighted to have on today's show the fantastic double act, and I mean that wholly politely, Joe and Karl, Joe Bennett and Cowell of Clockwork Moggy. Guys, thank you very much indeed for joining us today. Please, for the benefit of our listeners, give a brief introduction to yourself.
Hey Keith, thank you for inviting us on. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Joe from Clockwork Moggy, and I basically do anything that is to do with analytics when it comes to social media. And I'm joined here by Karl.
Yeah, hey guys, I'm Karl. I'm the other half of Joe, basically, it feels like. And I am the social media and design manager at Clockwork Moggy, so I look after making stuff look pretty and making sure people click on stuff.
Love it. So I first met you guys in your JK Online days, and that was the name of your company, which you formed together. How did the two of you first meet and get into the business?
Yeah, so this is quite an interesting story. So basically, I was best mates with a couple of girls when I was going through school, and one of them started going out with Joe when we were like 18, and they split up, and I sort of forced them to stay friends, and we're still friends now. And ever since then, we've been best mates. We've had a go at try and do a few different business ideas, and none of them really took off until JK came around, and that's where our sort of business relationship started, as well as our friendship. So it's been a bit of a roller coaster, and to be fair, hasn't actually been too testing on our friendship yet. But yeah, a good one.
I like the yet there, Karl, but it's great that you've got this obvious strong friendship, the two of you, and where you've then been able to take that to a mutual passion of yours and come together, to create a working future for yourselves. It's fantastic and really inspiring. And what about before JK Online was born? What were you kind of up to independent of each other growing up and so on?
So straight out of school, I went to university to do a psychology degree, which is a bit different to what I'm doing now, the whole social media thing, but it does help quite a bit. And after that, I had quite a few weird and wonderful jobs until I ended up in the tech industry. So my last job before forming JK, I was a junior software developer. And in the meantime, as Karl said earlier, we had been trying different businesses and giving things a go. And then when JK started to actually take off, that's when I ended up going down to part-time and then full-time in work. And yeah, it went well. When we started JK, we were both in full-time work though, and doing that on the side. So that was a little bit mental because we were doing full-time work, and then in the evenings we were building websites and trying to get clients, going networking and stuff like that. So it was definitely a bit of a difficult start, but yeah, we ended up getting there to the point where we could both go full-time.
Yeah, we had it as we were saying that we was going to work part-time on the business and full-time on what our jobs were, but it actually ended up that we was working sort of full-time on both. My background's always been in events management and a bit of marketing, so I did a lot of social media in terms of the events. I've always worked in sort of student-y based things. I went straight out of school into work. I worked since I was 16, and I've flitted across different jobs, from organising stag do's in Europe to working for a trampoline park as a manager and marketing assistant. I've done loads of different stuff. So I've always worked in that sort of sphere, but never like directly in an agency working on social media. I've built websites for previous companies that I've worked for, and I've done all the stuff that I was doing as part of JK, but never like as a full-time role. So when we started, we did a lot of learning about how to business as we went. We always say that we're not business people, and we sort of just went out and tried to be the nice guys in the industry, and it worked out for us. Like, we got a bit of a name for ourselves in networking, and we got some really good client reviews, which meant that they were getting word of mouth. And then I went full-time first, and then Joe came and joined us full-time not long after, and then we were running the business for 2.5 years before we joined Clockwork.
It can be really tough, can't it? Working full-time in two different areas, one for someone else, your employer, and one for yourselves, being your own business. But before you make that leap and putting yourself out there, you can network, you can meet people, you can speak to people, make new contacts, and you start to build a name for yourselves and start forming those relationships, which, like you guys have done, it can help you achieve that leap, drop the job and go after creating your own destiny. So in this sense, what have you found to be the most challenging aspects of both creating and then running your own business?
So, as I kind of alluded to beforehand, we'd always worked in house for different companies, and we never had that sort of self employed experience where you had to be all of the departments. And I think Joe was much more efficient at fitting into that role than I was. I'm not a spreadsheet person. I'm not very good at finances. I'm one of the people that can sort of talk to anybody. I'm happy to talk to people. And I was quite good at the sales and marketing side of stuff, but just didn't fit that business admin and the financial element of because basically you have to be every department, and that's really hard as a one-man band, especially, but as we're a two-man band, it made it easier. And I think our skill set is very different. So for me, I think if I didn't have Joe, we would never have got to where we were now. I think probably Joe, I like to think Joe thinks the same about me, as in he had no design sort of side. Is that right, Joe?
Oh no, I could have easily done it without you. No, not a problem. I also wanted to add that right at the beginning, it was a lot of, because we were also in work, it was a lot of trying to just find time, because there's only so many hours in a day. So early on, it was quite hard to, when we got a client on board that was a website, for example, then when you actually had to do the work of website, I know sometimes you were up till early hours of the morning building websites, Carl, and also getting the leads, like going networking and stuff like that. We were going straight from our jobs to networking, and when you just turn up on the scene and no one knows who you are, it takes some time till people trust you. So at first it was quite hard getting leads and stuff, but we didn't really make any proper money for at least a year until we were making something we could live off of. So It took some time.
There's a lot of people that say like, oh yeah, just drop your job and go for it. And if we had done that, we would have been dead in a ditch somewhere probably. So like we would never have been able to eat. So I think there's two ways of starting a business, and there's that start of having the like going it slow, running it alongside your business, making sure you've got the target audience, the right area, everything's ready to go. And there's that sort of drop and go process where you sort of drop everything and it's that fight or flight where you have to make it. The other thing that I know that both of us really struggle with as well is morning networking. I hate getting up at 7 in the morning. That's not good for us, is it? I think it's not good for the whole digital marketing agencies as a whole. Like, I don't think digital marketing agencies are great at mornings, but we're particularly bad.
Well, first of all, morning networking, I do feel your pain on that one, guys. I mean, it's something that I've certainly struggled with, but I'm gradually getting there for myself. But you make some great points in there, what you've just said. You know, obviously, when you're looking to get started on your own business and you've already got a job, it's absolutely about finding and managing your time, you know, the finite time that we've all got. And of course, during the day, you're doing your ordinary day job, but then come the evening and weekends, typically, you're suddenly your own boss. And in fact, you know, not just the boss, but you're wearing all hats to keep things moving. But I think what you guys did for me is the right way of doing it, you know, not to just give up a job and chance it. You've played the slow game, but in doing so, like you've touched upon, you were able to start building awareness, make those new contacts, slowly build things. So you, obviously, when you can make that jump, you know, well, obviously where you're going to be landing. So all good stuff. Now, more recently, I know you've come through a successful merger with another company, Clockwork Moggy, who we know very well at Street Soccer, as these guys are obviously an official business member and supporter of ours, and they built our website. They're fantastic to work with. But how did it come about for you guys? You know, how did you kind of make that move to merge with them?
Yeah, so we have known them for a little while, and it just sort of happened that we were having a conversation with Neil, who is one of the owners of Clockwork Moggy, and it just sort of was said that we both should be working together because we have different skill sets to them. And Neil always uses this really great analogy about a horse and cart, and I always get it wrong, so I'm not even going to bother trying and saying it. But we were first talking about just doing projects together, so we do part of it and they do the other part. And then Neil just sort of said, well, is there any way we could just merge into one company? And then we just started talking about it from there, and everything went well, like what we wanted from the merge. They said, yep, that's fine. And what they wanted, we said, yep, that's fine. So it went pretty smooth, to be completely honest. And yeah, there wasn't any sort of hitches. There was no bad blood. None yet, anyway.
Still time.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for them to turn around and be like, oh, God, we made a mistake.
I think we also worked on the Together network with them. So it was like how when lockdown first started, we were trying to find a way that we could help the local community, especially the local business community of people that were worried about what was happening over the what was going to happen to their business. No one knew. So we created this group on Facebook, which was just a little bit of an off a whim thing, just to help people to vent and have ask questions if there was any questions they had. And it slowly turned into a bit of a beast itself, and we couldn't manage it ourselves. So we went and talked to the Clockwork guys and asked if they could help us with the website and looking after that side, so we could just focus on the social media. And it was really our first big project that we worked together on. And we sat in their office together before it wasn't allowed, and we started to work on this and just really cemented that we wanted to work with them. Like, we really got on with them, and their systems and processes were very similar to ours. And we decided that we should take the plunge. And that cart analogy you're talking about earlier on is basically saying at the moment we're running with 2 horses on each cart and we're running alongside each other, whereas instead we could have 1 cart and have 4 horses on it and it would go much faster. And that's a really good analogy of how it should work. Like, it should just be, we were going towards the same goal. We both wanted to kind of be full service agencies, and what I really liked, what they said, is they wanted to get another Neil and Carrie in the business. And me and Joe are very similar. Well, Neil was very similar to Joe, and I'm very similar to Carrie, and we were kind of that other Neil and Carrie for them. And instead of them going and hiring someone who's just going to be coming in and doing the design work, we come in with a bit of business knowledge, a bit of networking and business development knowledge as well. So we added a lot more to the table, and that's why they wanted to come and chat to us. And it's been great since.
It's a great coming together, isn't it? And an obvious situation where you've got a lovely collective between the 2 firms. You've got an agreement that has meant you've allowed each other to help each other, play to your collective strengths, and at the same time, you've given yourselves every chance now to move and accelerate things going forward, which I'm absolutely delighted for all of you about. I think the world of, Clockwork and you guys as a group collective, for all of what you do for the Street Soccer Foundation, but you as individuals as well, you're just absolutely brilliant people. And that Together network that you also mentioned, Karl, you've been quite understated there, mate. You did an outstanding job, you guys, on that. To my knowledge, I think it was, for those that don't know, you built a community of over 1,000 people and supported them every day during lockdown. An unbelievable job. But I think the only thing that I'm not quite so sure about is you saying there that you've basically just admitted yourself that you're a Carrie. Now, I know the lovely Carrie as well, and I'm not quite sure how that's going to go down with her, but there you go. I'll let Carrie make a comment on that. But let me stick with you, Karl, because just for this next question, as an outside of all the work that you've been doing with Joe and now as part of Clockwork, you very kindly agreed to come on board with us as well at Street Soccer with our schools programme. Why did you choose to get involved, and what appealed to you about it?
So I'm a part of the schools programme basically for 2 reasons. The first reason was that I've got a bit of a background. I went to uni later in life to study to be a primary school teacher, and that was at the same sort of time that we started JK. And I have some experience in teaching beforehand, and I really enjoy working with children, and I thought that was where I wanted to go. And then the business just took off, and I really enjoyed running the business side of stuff, so sort of diverged that way, and that's where we went full time into the business. And I didn't want to drop the sort of working with kids and helping people out aspect of stuff. So when I saw Keith at a networking event, I was just blown away by his passion and enthusiasm for everything to do with the Street Soccer Foundation, and I thought that's what I wanted to be a part of. And when the schools program came forward, I decided I'd put my hat forward and say, look, I'm interested in coming and being a teacher on the course, and I've done it before lockdown. I did it for a long time, and I'm looking forward to going back afterwards as well. So it's just an opportunity for me to give back to the community, which is a really big part of our values and ethos. I really like the fact that we, as business owners and business people, can give back. Which is, I keep saying business owners, we're obviously not now. We're part of Clockwork, but it's a really good opportunity for us to give back to the local community. I work in Medway, in the schools in Medway, which is where I went to school when I was a kid. So it's just a nice opportunity to go and give back some of the skills that I've learned over time, and with a passionate team, and I work with some other really great business people. Awesome, loved it.
Really fantastic, Karl. Love that. And thank you for your kind words. It's brilliant to have your support and involvement on the schools programme, and hopefully, obviously, we can get back out there as soon as possible in the coming month or 2. So what about the future for both of you guys? Now that you're a part of Clockwork, what are you most excited about?
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to never having to do accounts again. because that's not my job anymore. So I think a big part of the reason why me and Karl went to Clockwork Moggy was because, as Karl said earlier, we're not really business people, and neither of us overly enjoyed doing the business part of the day, i.e. the accounts and the working out all the processes and putting stuff into spreadsheets and whatnot. So I think going forward, we're really excited that we're just going to be doing our job. We're just going to be doing what we actually enjoy doing and growing as well. We've always wanted to be a full service agency, as Karl said, and it's just easier now because we've already got 5 people in the team that all do different things in terms of services. So I think it's just going to be a lot easier for us to become that full service agency we wanted to become compared to when it was just me and Karl, because simple maths, 5 is more than 2.
Correct. That is a correct bit of maths there. Well done. I think for me, I think in the near future, now we've got a branding expert on board. It means that when I do the best man speech at Joe's wedding, I can get some really great pictures and graphics made up of some of our past memories and show them on the big screen projector. Carrie doesn't know that yet. I don't think Joe's fiance is going to be too thrilled about it, but it will come. In terms of business stuff, I'm really looking forward to just getting stuck into some bigger projects. As JK, we were able to service a certain type of clientele, and now we've got access to a much wider range of different businesses, from SMEs all the way up to larger companies, which means that we can have a bit more creative flexibility, which is interesting and exciting. So I'm looking forward to being able to just flex our creative muscles a little bit more than we were previously. And my dream job has always wanted to be the ideas man. Like, my life is just picking ideas for companies, and I think I'm getting closer to the goal with that, with helping with the branding and the websites and all the different elements of the full service agency. I get to sort of dip my toes into all of them without having to do the more technical stuff, which I'm not as skilled in. Definitely works out in my advantage. Looking forward to seeing what the future of Clockwork brings. I think there's going to be some really cool stuff happening.
Without a doubt there will be. I'm absolutely certain of that. And again, I'm immensely grateful to both you guys and the whole Clockwork team for all of the support that you give the Street Soccer Foundation. And I really do wish sincerely you guys and all of Clockwork all the very best of luck for the coming months and years ahead. Thank you again, guys. So there you go. You've listened here to the awesome duo that are Joe Bennett and Cowell of Clockwork Moggy. Be sure to tune in again soon for our next podcast interview.